The Stoic strategy. Why pulling away makes them come running back. Have you ever been in a relationship, friendship, or even a family dynamic where you felt like you're being taken for granted? Where your presence was seen as an option rather than a priority? Perhaps you've wondered what it would take for someone to suddenly miss you, to realize your value. The answer, rooted in self-respect and Stoic wisdom, isn't about manipulative tactics or petty games. It's about mastering yourself, embracing healthy distance, and allowing them to experience life without your constant presence. This insightful guide reveals 7 brutally honest reasons why strategically pulling away can make someone come running back, not out of manipulation, but out of a genuine realization of what they've lost. This transformation begins not with them, but with you taking control of your life, owning your decisions, and understanding your inherent worth. By prioritizing your own growth and well-being, you not only attract genuine appreciation, but also cultivate the strength and self-assurance to thrive regardless of their response. This exploration will not only illuminate why creating distance works, but also provide a roadmap for doing so in a way that empowers you, leaving you feeling stronger, more confident, and more in control of your relationships. 1. The shock of your growth. Disrupting comfortable expectations. People often become complacent in relationships because they believe they have you figured out. They assume you'll always be the same, available, accommodating, and catering to their needs. That's precisely why stepping back and prioritizing your own growth can be so profoundly impactful. It completely throws them off balance, pulling the rug out from under their comfortable assumptions. Imagine being the dependable one, always checking in, making plans, and providing support. Then, one day you stop. You cease initiating texts, calling, and instead, you dedicate your energy to pursuing your goals, hitting the gym, leveling up your career, and spending time with those who value you. What happens next? They freak out. They didn't anticipate this shift, and they're forced to confront the reality that you're no longer the predictable person they thought they knew. People fear change, especially when it originates from someone they've underestimated. Your growth without them challenges their perception of you, prompting them to question everything. They begin to wonder if they misjudged you, if they missed something significant, and that shock serves as a potent wake-up call. Crucially, remember that you're not growing for them. You're doing it for yourself. Personal growth isn't about proving others wrong. It's about becoming the best version of yourself for yourself. As you focus on your goals, ambitions, and personal development, your transformation will speak volumes, compelling others to take notice. Soon, they'll start watching, observing your evolution with a mixture of curiosity and unease. They'll see your glow up and realize they've missed out. However, by then, it will likely be too late, as you'll be so focused on your journey that their reaction becomes almost irrelevant. Choose an area of your life to focus on and dive into it wholeheartedly. Make it your priority, not to prove anything to them, but because you deserve to live your best life. Trust that when they witness how much you've grown, they won't be able to ignore you, but by that point, their reaction will hold little sway over your path. 2. The magnetic pull of self-sufficiency, standing on your own 2 feet. Self-sufficiency is one of the most underrated yet profoundly attractive traits you can cultivate. In a world where so many rely on others for validation, attention, and approval, standing on your own 2 feet sets you apart in a massive way. When you don't need someone else to tell you you're enough, you become a force of nature, someone who doesn't require anyone's permission to feel complete. Self-sufficiency isn't about isolating yourself or pretending you don't care about others. It's about knowing your inherent worth and not needing someone else to validate it. When your happiness, confidence, and success aren't reliant on external sources, you radiate a quiet confidence that cannot be faked. You're not chasing anyone for attention, begging for validation, or waiting for someone to tell you you're worthy, and that's precisely when people start craving your attention. When they realize you don't need them to feel good about yourself, they begin to wonder why. They question why you no longer seek their approval, and that's when the dynamic shifts. They transition from feeling in control to feeling like they're missing out on something they didn't even realize they needed. People desire what they can't have. When you stop giving them the attention they took for granted, you become that thing they can't have. It's almost as if a switch flips in their head, transforming you from a constant presence into a coveted prize. When you were always available, you were giving away your power, signaling that you needed their validation to feel good about yourself. However, when you stop doing that, when you demonstrate through your actions that you don't need their validation to be happy, everything changes. You're no longer chasing them. You're chasing your own growth, your own goals, and your own happiness. And that shift is magnetic, drawing people in because everyone wants to be around someone who is confident and secure in who they are. Moreover, when you become self-sufficient, you're no longer emotionally dependent on someone else. You're not clinging to their every word, waiting for them to make you feel worthy. You're creating your own sense of worth through your actions, your achievements, and your ability to thrive independently. This is a game changer. The moment you stop needing them, they may start needing you because they see that you're happy, fulfilled, and moving forward without them. Self-sufficiency also teaches you how to protect your emotional energy. When you're no longer relying on someone to make you feel good, you can be more selective about who you let into your life. You can set boundaries without guilt because you're not afraid of losing someone who doesn't respect you. When you stop being so readily available, people start to value your presence more. When someone is always accessible, their presence becomes expected and, therefore, less appreciated. But when you pull back, you force people to reevaluate how much they value you. They start to realize just how much of your energy they were receiving, and now that it's gone, they crave it, wanting to be a part of your life again, not because they want to control you, but because they realize you're someone who knows how to thrive on their own, and that's inherently attractive. Self-sufficiency is not about isolation. It's about strength. It's about knowing that while you enjoy being around people, you don't need them to define your worth. You can walk into a room alone and still feel just as confident as if you were surrounded by a crowd. That kind of self-assuredness is rare, and it's something that draws people in without you even trying. Start small by taking yourself out to do something you love, whether it is solo dinner, a hike, or spending a day doing something just for you. Learn to enjoy your own company and appreciate the time you have with yourself. The more comfortable you become in your own skin, the less you'll feel the need to seek external validation. When they see how well you're doing on your own, they'll be drawn to that energy, craving to be a part of your life because you're no longer relying on anyone to feel whole. When you can create your own happiness, confidence, and fulfillment without needing someone else, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And that's a magnet for genuine connection. 3. The envy of your newfound confidence. Disrupting the established dynamic. Confidence is a quality that makes people stop in their tracks, especially when they didn't anticipate seeing it in you. When someone is accustomed to seeing you unsure of yourself, second-guessing your worth, and constantly seeking their approval, your newfound confidence is like a bolt of lightning, disrupting the entire dynamic, shifting the power in the relationship, and leaving them wondering where this confidence came from and how they didn't recognize it before. For the longest time, you may have been the person who hesitated, who questioned themselves before making a decision, who sought their opinion on every little thing. However, as you step back, focus on yourself, and build a stronger version of you, you begin to trust your own judgment, and your confidence starts to grow. Confidence is contagious, but not always in the way you might think. Yes, it inspires others, but it also makes those who took you for granted feel uncomfortable because your growth highlights their own insecurities. It makes them question themselves and wonder why they didn't see this potential in you earlier and, more importantly, why they don't possess the same level of self-assurance. This is where the envy emerges, not necessarily in a toxic way, but as a longing for what you now possess. They wish they had the level of confidence you're now displaying, the ability to walk into a room with your head held high, knowing exactly who they are and what they stand for. They see you doing it, and it messes with their perception of you. You're no longer the person who relied on them for validation. You become someone who knows their worth, and that kind of confidence is magnetic, drawing people in while simultaneously prompting them to reflect on why they didn't recognize this side of you earlier. When someone gets used to being in a position of power over you, they enjoy the comfort of you looking up to them. They relish the fact that you seek their approval because it bolsters their own sense of security. However, when you stop needing that validation, it shakes things up, leaving them feeling as though they've lost their upper hand. This imbalance creates discomfort, leading to a shift in dynamics where your confidence demands respect, commanding attention in a way that insecurity and approval-seeking never could. People are forced to see you differently, realizing that you're no longer waiting for their validation because you're clearly not. Your confidence isn't just about how others perceive you. It's about how you perceive yourself. You're no longer relying on external approval to feel good. You know who you are, and you're not afraid to show it. You're not afraid to take up space, to speak your mind, and to stand firm in your decisions. And that kind of self-assuredness makes people want to be around you. Confidence is attractive in every sense of the word. True confidence is quiet, an inner knowing that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone, the ability to walk into any situation fully aware of your value without requiring external validation. It's about trusting yourself enough to know that you're worthy, flaws and all, and that you don't have to be everything to everyone because you're enough just as you are. This self-acceptance, in turn, transforms how you show up in the world. You're no longer seeking approval because you've already given it to yourself. The confidence that radiates from this inner acceptance makes others crave your attention and want to be a part of your world. When they see you owning your space, making decisions without needing their input, and living authentically, it sparks something within them. They start to wonder how you achieved this level of confidence and why they didn't see it before, and that curiosity morphs into attraction. Moreover, when you exude confidence, it compels others to take responsibility for their own insecurities. They can no longer project their doubts onto you because you're not accepting them. Instead, you're showing them who you are, and that makes them want to be a part of your world because your self-assuredness creates a sense of stability, and people are drawn to that. Start practicing confidence in small ways, such as saying no to things you don't want to do without feeling guilty or speaking up for yourself in situations where you'd normally stay silent. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, and the more you'll see the dynamic shift in your relationships. When you own your worth and stop relying on anyone else to define it for you, you'll notice a profound change, and those who once took you for granted will start craving the version of you they never saw coming. The confident, self-assured, and empowered version of you. For the intrigue of unpredictability, breaking free from routine. Unpredictability is an often overlooked source of power in any relationship. When someone can predict your every move, they stop paying attention. They get comfortable and assume they know exactly what you're going to do. As a result, they stop putting in effort and thinking about you as much because, in their minds, they've already figured you out. However, when you become unpredictable, it forces people to sit up and take notice. Suddenly, they don't know what to expect from you, and that creates intrigue. Imagine being in a situation where you are always available, always texting first, and always initiating plans. The other person got used to it, expecting those behaviors as a matter of course. While initially comforting, this predictability eventually becomes boring. There's no excitement, no mystery. They know they don't have to work for your attention because you're always there, ready, and waiting. Then you stop being so available and cease doing the same things they come to expect from you. Maybe you don't reply to their texts as quickly, or you're no longer the first to make plans. You're busy living your life and not making them the center of your universe. What happens next? They start wondering what's going on and questioning why you're not acting the way you used to, and that curiosity is potent, making them think about you more because they're trying to figure out what's different. People are naturally drawn to mystery, and we're wired to want to solve puzzles. When you become unpredictable, you transform yourself into a puzzle they can't easily solve. They don't know what you're thinking, what you're doing, or why you've changed, and that makes you infinitely more interesting. They start paying closer attention to you because there's a newfound sense of uncertainty. Think about it. When someone can predict your every move, there's no challenge. But when you become less predictable and start doing things they didn't see coming, it forces them to reevaluate how they see you. They start to wonder what's going on in your life, why you haven't texted back yet, or why you're no longer always available. Are you seeing someone else? Or are you simply too busy with your own life to care as much as you used to? These questions make them think about you more and more, and that's when the dynamic shifts, transforming you from someone who can be taken for granted to someone who elicits curiosity and intrigue. Unpredictability doesn't mean playing games. It's not about deliberately withholding affection or attention to manipulate someone. It's about genuinely living your life in a way that puts your own needs and goals first. You're not being unpredictable for the sake of it. You're doing it because you're focused on your growth, your happiness, and your chosen path. When you stop being predictable, it's a natural consequence of prioritizing yourself over someone who isn't reciprocating the same energy. Moreover, unpredictability creates a sense of value. When you're always available and doing what someone expects, it becomes easy for them to take you for granted. They start to feel like your time and attention are always there, waiting for them. However, when you pull back, you create a little distance, and it forces them to realize that your time and attention are not guaranteed. They begin to see you as someone whose presence is valuable, and they don't want to lose that. If you've always been the person to initiate contact and make the plan stop, let them wonder what's going on and feel the absence of your constant availability. Make your time valuable again by not always being so predictable. Let them experience the uncertainty of not knowing when you'll reach out, and allow them to wonder what you're doing when you're not readily accessible. The intrigue that comes from being less predictable will naturally make them think about you more, and it will force them to value your presence in a way they never did before. Unpredictability lies in its ability to shift the balance. When they can't predict your every move, when they don't know what to expect from you, they start to crave your presence in ways they never did before. They begin to realize that you're not someone they can easily figure out, and that makes you infinitely more attractive. 5. The realization of what they've lost. Understanding your true value. One of life's toughest truths is that people often don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. It's not that they never cared about you. It's that they grew comfortable and took for granted the fact that you were always there, consistently showing up and giving your time and energy. However, when you step back and create distance, you force them to face a reality they hadn't considered before. You were bringing a lot more to the table than they realized, and now it's gone. At first, they might not even notice, assuming that you're just busy and will eventually return to the familiar dynamic. However, over time, something shifts. They start to feel the absence of all the little things you contributed to their life. The conversations, the emotional support, the fun moments, and the comfort of knowing that you are always there for them. This absence forces them to confront the fact that they've been taking you for granted. The more time that passes, the more apparent it becomes to them. Their comfort is now replaced with the emptiness that your presence once filled. They start to feel the weight of all that they've lost, the emotional support you provided, the time and energy you invested, and the joy you brought into their life. This realization can be both shocking and painful. People often underestimate the impact you have on their lives until they no longer have access to it. They became accustomed to your constant presence, no longer viewing it as something special, instead regarding it as a guaranteed commodity. But the moment you pull back, they are forced to confront the fact that they've been taking you for granted, prompting them to fully understand your worth. They begin to replay memories in their head, reliving the good times, the laughs, and the deep conversations. With each memory, they feel the weight of what they've lost, realizing just how much you added to their life. That realization can be both shocking and painful for them. When someone is always there for you, it's easy to overlook their value, but when they're suddenly not there, it creates a void that prompts reflection and regret. The sense of loss that comes with this realization can be incredibly powerful, stirring them to crave a reconnection in ways they never did before. However, remember that you're not stepping back to manipulate anyone into missing you. Rather, it's about honoring your own value and not settling for a relationship or dynamic where you're not being appreciated. By giving them space, You give them the opportunity to reflect on their actions and realize, on their own, what they've lost. Your time, energy, and love are valuable. And when you give them to someone who doesn't fully appreciate them, you're essentially allowing them to take you for granted. However, when you pull back, reclaiming that time and energy for yourself, you're making a powerful statement about your worth, asserting that you know what you bring to the table and that if they can't see it, they don't deserve to have it. That kind of self-respect is incredibly attractive. In the absence of your presence, they start to fully understand just how much you meant to them. They compare their life now to how it was when you were around. And that comparison leads them to realize how much better their life was with you in it, causing them to crave that connection. However, they can't simply snap their fingers and get it back. They have to earn their place in your life again. Don't rush back in. When you pull back and give someone space to realize your worth, let them sit with that feeling and truly experience what life is like without you. If they come back, they'll do so with a new appreciation for what you bring to the relationship. If they don't, that's okay too, because you've already taken the steps to honor your own value and focus on your own growth. The realization of what they've lost is a powerful motivator, forcing them to confront the truth about how much you meant to them and leading them to want to reconnect with you. Remember, you're stepping back for yourself, not to manipulate anyone. You're giving them the chance to see your value, and when they finally realize what they've lost, they'll either step up or step out. Either way, you win. 6. The desire to be part of your new journey, evolving without them. When you take a step back and focus on yourself, an incredible transformation takes place. You start evolving, growing, and embracing new opportunities. Whether you're picking up new hobbies, leveling up your career, spending more time with people who truly value you, or working on your personal development, the shift is obvious, not just to you, but to everyone around you. Growth is magnetic. When people see you thriving without them, it sparks something within them. They start to feel like they're missing out on this new and exciting version of you. They see you exploring new paths, embracing new challenges, and they want to be a part of that journey, not feel like they're left behind, watching from the sidelines as you step into your power and start living a life that's truly fulfilling. When you were always available and putting them first, they felt comfortable and didn't have to put in much effort because they knew you'd always be there. However, now that you've focused on yourself, the dynamic has changed. You're no longer the same person who was waiting around for their attention. You've grown into someone who's living their own life, setting their own goals, and making things happen on their own terms. And that shift makes them want to come back because they realize you're on a journey of growth and they don't want to miss out. Personal growth is incredibly attractive. Whether it's through your career, health, relationships, or personal development, you radiate progress, self-confidence, and ambition, drawing people in. The person who once took you for granted now sees this new side of you and realizes that your life is moving forward with or without them. They start to feel a sense of urgency to be a part of your journey because they recognize that you're on a path to something bigger and better. However, they know they can't simply walk back into your life as if nothing has changed. They can't expect to come back into your world without putting in effort. Because you've grown, you've set new standards for yourself, and they know that if they want to be a part of this new version of you, they'll have to step up and show that they're willing to grow alongside you, as you're no longer interested in the old dynamics where you're doing all the work. When someone sees you thriving, it makes them reflect on their own life. They start to wonder, what am I doing? How'd I miss this side of them? Why aren't I growing like that? It's a wake-up call. They see you making moves, and they feel like they've fallen behind, creating a desire to be part of your journey. Your growth is not about making someone feel left out. It's about you living your life authentically and fully. You're not waiting for anyone to catch up to you. You're moving forward with or without them, and that's exactly what makes them want to come back. They don't want to miss out on this new chapter of your life, and they want to be there, standing by your side, as you continue to grow. However, they know they have to earn their place and prove that they're capable of supporting this new and empowered version of you or risk being left behind. When you start living for yourself and focusing on your own journey, those who aren't meant to be part of it will naturally fall away. This is a positive thing. You don't want to carry people who can't support your growth and aren't willing to evolve with you. But the right people, those who truly care about you and see your value, will rise to the occasion, wanting to be part of your journey not because they want to hold you back, but because they recognize how amazing your future is and want to be there to support you every step of the way. Focus on your own growth, not because you're trying to prove anything to anyone, but because you deserve to live a life that excites and fulfills you. Let your journey be about you. The right people will be naturally drawn to your energy, and the ones who took you for granted will realize what they're missing out on. When you start focusing on your own journey, you're not only improving your life, but also demonstrating that your time and energy are valuable. You're showing people that you're not going to wait around for anyone, and that if they want to be part of your life, they'll need to step up. This kind of self-assuredness and growth is incredibly attractive, drawing others closer not just to be around you, but to be part of the exciting, evolving version of your life that you're creating. 7. The fear of losing you to someone else. A wake-up call to action. Fear is one of the most powerful motivators in human psychology. When someone realizes that they might lose you to someone else, that fear hits them hard. They begin to see that your absence is creating space for someone new to come into your life, and the thought of you being with someone else who recognizes your value can be enough to drive them to action. This fear creates a sense of urgency and desperation that they can't ignore. When someone sees you thriving without them, their initial reaction might be to shrug it off. However, as time goes on, they realize something more serious is happening. You're not just pulling away. You're evolving and becoming a stronger, more confident version of yourself. It starts to dawn on them that someone else will notice what they missed, and they might not get another chance. People don't like to admit it, but the idea of being replaced is terrifying, especially when they see you becoming happier, more self-assured, and more independent. They start thinking, what if someone else comes along and sees all the things I took for granted? What if they treat them better than I did? That's when the fear really sets in. They start imagining scenarios where you're with someone new, someone who appreciates your worth from the start, and that thought alone can make them panic. When this fear of losing you kicks in, it sparks a wave of regret. They regret not treating you better and not valuing your presence when they had the chance, and they fear they've lost you for good. This fear doesn't just disappear. It lingers, making them think about you more intensely. They start comparing themselves to this imaginary someone else who could step into your life and give you everything they didn't, and that comparison eats at them. They no longer have the security of knowing you're always there. They can't take your presence for granted anymore because they know there's a real possibility that someone else will step in and take their place. This is a powerful motivator that can jolt them into action. This fear doesn't just motivate them to come back. It forces them to reassess their own behavior. They start asking themselves, why didn't I appreciate them more? Why did I take them for granted? What can I do differently to make sure I don't lose them again? This reflection often leads to genuine change because they know that if they don't fix what went wrong the first time, they might not get another chance. You're not pulling away to make someone jealous or to make them afraid of losing you. You're pulling away because you're focusing on yourself, your growth, and your happiness. The fact that they're now afraid of losing you is a natural consequence of them realizing your value. Don't let the fear of someone else's reaction dictate your path. Focus on continuing to grow, build your life, and surround yourself with people who appreciate you from start. If someone fears losing you, it's because they now see what they should have valued all along. Distance isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming your power, your self-worth, and your time. Stoicism teaches us that the only thing we can control is ourselves, and when you step back from someone who isn't appreciating you, you're taking control of your life. You're showing them and yourself that your value doesn't depend on anyone else's recognition. Trust that when they see you growing, thriving, and becoming the best version of yourself, they won't be able to stay away. You don't need them to come back. You've already won by focusing on your growth. Whether they return or not, you're stronger, smarter, and more empowered than ever before. Conclusion. This exploration illuminates 7 potent reasons why pulling away strategically can prompt someone to realize your worth and crave your presence once more. However, It's vital to remember that this isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about cultivating self-respect, prioritizing your own growth, and creating healthy boundaries. By embracing distance, you empower yourself, giving others the space to recognize what they stand to lose. Whether they return with a newfound appreciation or you continue on your path towards a more fulfilling life, the ultimate outcome is positive, as you will have transformed into a stronger, more self-assured individual. The key is to approach this shift with authenticity, focusing on your own well-being rather than seeking to control another person's actions.